Major Terry Roper, retired, MBE TD. I served in the 4th Battalion Royal Green Jackets, 5th Battalion Royal Green Jackets and the Rifles. The 2 plaques that we've had restored by Clint Ross, they are for the 4th Battalion, the Oxford and Bucks. They were nearly all TA who fought in the First and Second World War, and each battle that they fought in is replicated on those plaques and remembered on those plaques. And it just shows you that, you know, what big part that they played in both world wars. You know, they were all, as mostly were in the First World War, volunteers. But of course in the Second World War, they weren't. They were called up because they were TA, and they distinguished themselves at Cassel, protecting the beaches at Dunkirk to enable the British Army to be rescued, basically. And then they went on to serve in Cyprus and various other places until, as I said earlier, they became Green Jackets. Of course, one of the most famous actions, along with Waterloo, was Pegasus Bridge, which was a coup de main, which is a glider-borne operation that actually landed yards from the bridge of the Orme Canal in June 6, 1944. They were the first body of formed troops to land on D-Day, and their job was to seize that bridge to stop the German armour from coming across it and threaten the beaches when the main invasion happened. And Major John Howard, who was a local Oxford policeman before the war, he practised for probably 3 or 4 years for all his action, and it went exactly to plan, excepting one of the gliders did actually land in the wire. The Oxford and Bucks were obviously at Cayley Barracks, which is now it's Brookes University. It's a campus. I think it's called Parade Green, and they actually were very, very good Unite students who developed the place. They were excellent to us, and they put a memorial there, and we've got a little place inside where you can look at the history of Cayley Barracks. There's the Rosehill Memorial to the Oxford and Bucks, which is on the apex of Rosehill and the Iffley Road. You've got the Cassel Memorial now, which is in the church in Beauchamp Lane, which used to be the old garrison church. You've then obviously got the memorial on Bond Square, which is to various actions in Uganda and places like that, and also to Afghanistan. Old Bill, who we've seen earlier, he is well travelled. He didn't need a visa. He went to the St Clement's Church yard, which is near the Plain roundabout. He was moved along to Marston Road, and there was a TA centre at Marston Road where he sort of spent a few weeks there. And then he was moved to Cayley Barracks. When Cayley Barracks shut down, he was moved across to the Slade TA centre. And then when the Slade TA centre shut, he was moved to here. Hopefully, this is where he'll stay forever. I think he's probably the most well-travelled monument to a regiment anywhere in the country.
Yes, my name's Clint Ross. I'm from Oxford, born Oxford, and I served in the 1st Battalion Royal Green Jackets. So as I was leaving the military, I did a 3-year carpentry and joinery, sitting guilds and building management, and it was just things that I picked up over the years on how to carve and restore, basically. So I had seen these plaques in the TA centre, which was at Slade, and I saw them back in 1978 as a young bugler. They were in the drill hall, but I didn't realise until I'd come out of the army that the old TA centre was sold off to become accommodation, student accommodation, and Edward Brooks Barracks in Abingdon was then the new venue for the battalion. They were yet again found by Major Terry Roper, and I was asked if I could help restore them. Looking at them, I was quite shocked on the damage that they'd sustained. So, because they were hung on the wall and very high up, painters in them days, I don't think, could see how to cut in properly. So there was a lot of white paint and grey paints and various colours all over them. And then, of course, being moved around, a lot of the lettering, the hand-carved lettering was damaged, missing. The bugles had, again, the tassels, the bugle tassels and everything were all missing. So it was a case of taking them back home in the workshop and completely stripping them back to the bare wood that they were. Taking prints of other letters that were on that I could then carve out and replace. And then again with all the tassels, carve those out and reinstate them under the bugles. So the ones behind me here, these are the Cassel stones that were given to the village of Cassel in France after TA battalions had held Cassel during the Dunkirk invasion. Mm-hmm. They were there some 75 years, and then I was contacted by Major Terry Roper, who found them in 2018 laying on a rotten pallet at Edward Brooks Barracks, the French one being broken across its top left-hand side. So I was asked if I could restore them, and that's what I did. A lot of the silver gilt had come out, the bugle tassels were all broken. In actual fact, they weren't actually there. So I set about during COVID, after they were dried out, of restoring them. The French-speaking side of the plaque was drilled with 3 stainless steel dowels. I planed about 5 mil of the stones off the back so I could harness some of the dust of the stone and re-put it in with the resin, which created a natural vein in that particular stone. So the stone, I believe, was dug out of the quarry in Banbury, so it's quarry stone, and most of the stone out of the quarry was typically known as ironstone, which was orange, but this was unusual. So this is why they probably selected this nice grey purple stone to use as a monument. So the Cassel stone ones, the ones behind us here, from picking them up, drying them out was about 6 months, and then it took a further 2 to 3 months to hand pick them out, re-gild them, fix them, and put the bugle cords all back together. So that was about 9 months for these. And then the 2 that are at the town hall, they took the best part of 9 months because of the carving and everything else. Sanding down the detailing was far greater. So yeah, it was about 9 months for those. This year's been quite poignant with VJ Day, VE Day being the 80 years, and a lot of that is written, the campaigns, the individual battles, they're all written on these 2 plaques from the World War I and the World War II. And with the visitors and everything to Oxford, I think it's important that the young ones still carry this forward with knowledge. And if we don't preserve them, then people don't get to know the stories. And this is why I think it's important.
The 2 plaques in the town hall, well, when you see them before, we found them in a cupboard here, and what they are now, again, thanks to Clint, it's just unbelievable. And again, they were all Oxford people. It's an Oxford regiment, you know, and we should all be proud of it. I mean, I know sometimes in these days, people don't like to remember wars and things, but you've got to, because that's how you learn. You know, you learn from history, and we don't ever want to see a war like that again.